My dad's like, if you want to win again, I can teach you how to win again. We've got to put the phone off. We've got to get that mindset back. Get rid of everything that's happened in the last couple of months. Speak to someone properly. Get your mind right. It's nothing to do with your ability. You're the man.
Let's dive into the session with none other than Chad le Clos.
WhatsApp Chad 2084 000 947 to receive a link to watch or listen to this intimate discussion with Chad le Clos.
Top stories. Get the news before it's history in the morning.
What happens on Fridays?
Friday nights, always about our beloved legends.
Well, it's no mistake, yeah? It's no mistake. And it's not misappropriation of a name to an individual, I can tell you that much. And that's why tonight, excuse the pun, we're going to be diving into the extraordinary life and legacy of a woman who didn't just swim against the clock. I mean, she changed the course of African sports. From the moment that she stepped onto the Olympic stage, I mean, she was swimming into history. I go back to Atlanta 1996, a golden chapter etched forever into the story of South African sports. 100 meters, gold. 200 meters, gold. Now, the first woman in Olympic history to conquer both breaststroke events at the very same games. But her story, though, is bigger than 2 gold medals. She emerged from a South Africa that was kind of finding its feet in a new democratic era, carrying the hopes of a nation that had only recently returned into the international sporting family. And when she touched that wall in Atlanta, I mean, she didn't just win. She told a continent that greatness was possible. Even the great Nelson Mandela called her our golden girl. And she went on to break 14 world records, hold all 3 breaststroke world records simultaneously, also becoming a world swimmer of the year. Talk about inspiration. Talk about inspiring an entire generation that would follow her into the water. Names that come to mind: Kirsty Coventry, Tatiana Smith, Cameron van der Berg, Chad le Clos. And now there is a new generation looking towards Dakar 2026 and also LA 2028. But behind the records, there was a journey of sacrifice. There was pressure, doubt, discipline, triumph, and also unwavering belief in what was possible. And that's why tonight we go beyond the medals. We go back to the beginning. The little girl who discovered swimming, the teenager who arrived at the Olympics knowing almost nothing about Olympic competition, the champion who conquered Atlanta, also the legend who never really left the pool. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, she's right here. One of Africa's greatest sporting pioneers, South Africa's golden girl, Olympic champion, world record breaker, and also an inspiration to generations of swimmers, Penny Heyns.
Hi, Robert, and hi to all the listeners. Wow, that's an introduction. Thanks. I've learned something.
What did you learn from that? Tell me.
Well, I think at my age now, looking back and having seen all the youngsters come through, you kind of, and maybe you're not as old as me, but maybe you can associate with this. We kind of think we've moved on and people have forgotten. So when you read some of those stats to me, and it just takes me back to those days, I feel extremely blessed that my era was exactly at that time in South Africa's history, when Madiba himself was not only our president, but so intricately involved in the careers of us athletes at the time. So thanks for that.
No, for sure. I mean, that's what I was saying, that sometimes we misappropriate the word legend. And anybody who's a former rugby player, former football player, former netball player, and who played is a former player or swimmer, but they don't necessarily become a legend. And I think in what you've achieved, legendary status has to be bestowed upon you. And that's why we celebrate your journey, Penny, in so many different ways. And I know there was a stage where you felt that you wished all of this attention would go away. I don't know if you remember that stage and whether you still carry the same type of feeling about it in 2026.
Again, I think, someone told me when you turn 40, everything changes. You don't care anymore. And I think to a degree that's true. Now, obviously, it's a couple of years later now. And I think I've settled down. I think probably the last time we spoke might have been a little soon after my career. So it was very strange for me to come back from Canada and the US and to be exposed to the attention at home. So I was very uncomfortable with it at first. And now I most of the time walk around, maybe I got blinkers on my eyes, I don't know, but I just assume everyone's forgotten and it's moved on. So I don't really mind being out in the public as much as I did years ago.
I mean, I still remember, was it Mary Decker Slanley, who ran barefoot, and the other lady stamped on her, and Zola Bud.
Zola Bud ran barefoot.
So Zola ran barefoot and Mary stamped on her.
Yes.
So if I can remember that, imagine forgetting about Penny Heyns. That would be impossible. It was an era again, and there's something around 95, 96. We had just come back into the international fold. You know about the international ban that South Africa had. But coming back, the Springboks winning the World Cup in 95, the football winning the Africa Cup of Nations in 1996, and then you going to Atlanta 96, the very same year, and scooping gold in the manner that you did. I wanted to ask you, though, do you believe, though, with all the talent that South Africa has, that we were literally just bubbling under, wanting to show the world what it is that we can do, because we've been closed off for so long? Now was an opportunity to literally just pop our talent into the world. What do you think it was around that 95, 96? Obviously, you bounced back again in 99, but just that era, what was happening?
I think the Madiba euphoria that the country had. Obviously, I wasn't here. I was in the States, but I was watching what was going on as much as, was on the news in the States. So that itself, I think, created an environment where we felt like winners. We didn't feel like the South Africa we were prior to that, the black sheep. And I think then when our rugby guys won, and the fact that they did it over here in South Africa, that just sort of started the ball rolling. After that, I think that was the catalyst. After that, the rest of us felt like it is possible. Having said that, I think at that stage, we were also a little bit green. I remember speaking to Josiah Tagwane, who won the marathon gold in Atlanta. And I mean, Josiah didn't even have a clue. All he did is, I want to run fast enough so I get a paycheck. He didn't think he was going to win. He didn't even really understand the enormity of the Olympics. And even though I'd been to Barcelona, I don't think it really sunk in, because, as you say, we were in isolation for so long. I grew up in that time, so I never had the Olympic dream. And so I think it was early days and everyone was excited and we were just all feeding off of each other. The teams having success, and then myself and Josiah, and that got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, Josiah, with that celebration of his, we can never, ever forget. And that's why I always feel sad sometimes. And I'm glad you mentioned the Madiba magic. I've said on this platform many, many a time that he was the one president who loved, appreciated, and embraced sport across the board. If you won, you went to that wonderful building called the Union Buildings in Pretoria, and you were given your just dues because you had done the country proud. And I just feel that has slipped away in many, many ways. Kids think of everything else to do with their lives and their careers except for sport, except for what you do. I mean, we just had the Commonwealth Games, and I was so happy and proud to see swimming again, coming to the top. Whether that's good enough, I don't know. You'll tell us maybe a little bit later on. But what does leadership do just to set the tone for everybody else, to say, what are you doing? You are actually recognized in the highest office of the land, which is the same thing when you got the Order of Ikamanga. It was President Thabo Mbeki who was the president then. So again, acknowledgement. Just merge those two and how you feel about it now.
Just to go back to Madiba, as an athlete in that era, and myself and Baby Jake spoke about it quite often, it was amazing that, he would take a personal interest. If I can just kind of tell a few stories, 96, I met him in 95 very briefly at Presidential Sports Awards. 96, after I broke the world record the first time, he flew me down to Cape Town and I met him and the media. And then obviously after the Olympics, when we went to the Union Buildings and we, kind of dedicate our medals, Madiba took us aside into a smaller lounge area, and he wanted to talk to us 4 medalists about leadership and responsibility and all of that. And I remember a caterer came and put a plate of eats down. And before anyone, not that we would dare take something, but anyway, he stood up and he started serving us. And that was just mind-blowing, not only because this is Madiba, but also because he's an elder, So that was very unexpected. And then I had a bit of a dip for a few years, didn't swim so well. And then it was at the 99 South African Nationals. I was in Durban, out on the grandstands. I swam quite well. My 200 came back a little bit. And I was speaking with some kids, and my manager at the time came up and said that the president wants to speak to you. And I kind of dismissed it, thinking, with all due respect, it's Swimming South Africa's president, And then she said, no, it's Madiba on the phone. And I thought it's a hoax. And then when I went to the phone, he said, well done, I've just seen your swim, and it's nice to see you getting back in form. I mean, half the people at the pool didn't even realize that. So there's so many of those. When I broke some world records over his birthday week in 99, he phoned me in Canada in the middle of the night to say, well done. So he took a personal interest. It came from him. It wasn't like I felt sometimes later on the various heads of state they would congratulate you, but it's because somebody came and gave them a piece of paper to tell them what happened. Yeah. So it was very, very unique. And you mentioned Chad earlier on when I arrived here. His dad once asked me, am I not sorry that I'm not swimming right now in this era? With social media, sponsorships, you can get the money, you can make everything. And I said to him, you know what, I wouldn't change it for anything. I had what no one else in that era, what no other athletes could ever experience. It was very special. I'm sometimes still, I can't believe, the blessing that it was.
I think you were that special. You remain that special. You remain South Africa's golden girl, and that's why we are here to celebrate you, Penny Heyns. My guest tonight will take your comments and questions, and I think so many people have been saying, oh my goodness, where did you get hold of her? She's accessible, guys. I think Madiba paved the way.
947 Friday nights, always about our beloved legends.
Well, we call them legendary stories, becoming the first woman in Olympic history to win both the 100 meter as well as the 200 meter breaststroke at the very same games. I don't know, Penny Heyns, if, even when I mention that now, whether you understand at the time or even understood at the time how historic an achievement that was.
No, I never understood. In fact, I did not actually know that no one had ever done it. So I always joke and say, if I had known, I wouldn't have. Ignorance is bliss.
Sure.
And until Tatiana, no one else had ever won the 100 and 200. She did it at all. So she did it over 2 Olympics. So as the years have gone by, I've grown to appreciate what happened in Atlanta. At the time, I think you just go with the flow and you're young and you think, you're going to do it again maybe, or it's not such a big deal, Yeah. And every year after that, I thought the next person was going to do it. Rebecca Sony was the American, Liesl Jones, the Australian. I always thought, well, they're going to win the double. For some reason, they just didn't. They might have held the world records in both events, but it didn't come together at the Olympics. So it is mind-blowing, and especially since I didn't know how to swim the 200 those days. No, seriously.
How did you?
Seriously, I had the speed and I knew, okay, I better go all out and hope no one catches me. But that's not like a good strategy, It's only really in 99 that I figured out how to pace the 200 properly.
It's a South African term called gees.
Yeah.
You just go for it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a strategy, but if you have self-belief and trust that you can do something you don't think you can. Yeah. But the difficulty in having to break a record like that is that it took so long for anybody to do what you did. And I was doing a calculation early on before you came through, and it's a 44-year wait. Mm-hmm. Yes, there was that whole isolation, but 44 years because the last time that happened were individuals that nobody even knows about or even knew about. And that was back in 1952.
Yes. And it's a shame that people don't know.
Yeah.
And another thing I think that's a real shame is if you say in those years, 44 years, nothing happened. Well, we had actually the greatest swimmer in Corin Muir. Now, I don't know how many people remember, 18 world records. Corin Muir is still the youngest athlete of any sport ever to break a world record. She was 12. Sure. And if Corin had gone to the Olympics in that time, she would have come away with probably 4 Olympic golds easily. So, I grew up knowing the name Corin. I don't think many others necessarily did. I knew her name. I didn't necessarily know Joan Harris and Esther Brandt, who won the golds in 52. But I think our kids today, maybe they don't realize how lucky they are. They're growing up with that Olympic dream the same way the US has always done, and look at how great their Olympic legacy is. And I think we're building our own now. And it's exciting to see that we keep having these stars come through. So, and I think that's, all due respect to the coaches. They've done a great job, especially Rocco. And I think we are creating the platform for more success going forward.
As much as people would love you, there'll always be those who despise your success. And I always wanted to know about what is the issue, the beef with this American, was it Megan Kwan?
Wow, you have a good memory.
There were issues there. What is going on?
She was just a little brat. No, I didn't actually know that she existed. Quite honestly, in 1999, I didn't know she was at Panbax and she swam against me. I only found out who's Megan Kwan in 2000 when a reporter said to me after a swimming event that, do I know that this girl, this US swimmer, has a poster of me on the back of her bedroom door? So I said, oh, no. And he says, yes, and she throws darts at it every night. So I was like, okay. And, I thought it was funny at the time. So for me, Sydney was a difficult Olympics. It didn't go my way for many reasons. Things were out of my control in the season, so it affected my training a little bit. But I still think I swam to the best of my ability. I don't mind the bronze medal. What I didn't like is that Megan Kwan won the gold. And she did it in a time that was like half a second slower than I'd swum the year before. So I would have loved it if the Aussie had won, Liesl Jones. But yeah. But no one's ever heard of Megan Kwan again.
I was about to say.
It's once and gone.
Yeah, it's as quick as a bullseye when she got the darts probably somewhere near the forehead.
Yeah, I think she hit the bullseye.
But did you shake hands though?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm not going to show that I have very little respect. And America's had another mouthy breaststroke champ a few years ago. But I think life, as those athletes grow older and life's knocks comes along and they also get their butt kicked a little bit, they tend to humble themselves and then they turn out to be okay. So maybe Megan's okay now.
All right. Our praise to her.
The women's 200-meter breaststroke for the Olympic gold.
A slow start by Amanda Beard. She had talked about she had a slow start in the 100 as well.
And in contrast to Penny Heyns' quick start off the top of that is the situation. Heyns takes it out early. Let's see if she can hang on. Samantha Riley trying to chase her down in lane 3. Well, Heyns will win gold for the second time, an Olympic record time. 225.41. Beard, 225.75.
I can see you visualizing that.
I'm listening to the times I swam. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know.
But what are you seeing through? Because, I'm going back to that gold in 1996 at the Olympic Games, the breaststroke. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing besides you hearing the time and obviously hearing that the microphone was from the 1904s? But besides all of that?
I think in what I was hearing now is Amanda had a slow start. I had a very blitzy start, and I think I did have one of the fastest starts those days, something like 0.74 reaction or something. But today's athletes, you're seeing 0.52, that kind of thing. So it's just crazy how things have changed, and obviously the technology, the starting blocks, everything. So, yeah.
I think it's just that era, guys. When we all gathered around the television to watch the Olympic Games, it didn't matter. People watched gymnastics. You knew about pole vault. You knew all manner, synchronized diving, even at Commonwealth Games level. Remember, watching and covering lawn bowls, for example. Stuff that you drive past and you see the elderly being involved in. But at Olympic level, it's a different story. The participation, the desire to win the gold medal, something out of this world. And I know that South Africans right now who are listening are saying, my goodness, Penny Heyns, let's celebrate her.
Evening, Rob. Evening to you as well as all the MSW listeners. I'm very proud of Banyana going on to defeat the 10-time WAFCON champions in Nigeria, and especially on Women's Month. And you've got an esteemed guest today in studio. You know, in South Africa, we have the term called Watermeisi. She's the true definition of it. She made us proud in the 90s. And I want to ask her what she thinks of the current situation of not just swimming, but female sports in SA. And what she thinks also of the achievements of Natalie Detroit right after her to make us proud. And yes, Rob, growing up, I think she also went on to practice, I think in the States, overseas. And how was that? How did she deal with that? And yes, proud South African girl. We're happy to have her. And yes, nice to hear from you once again. Aus Penny of Watermeisi.
Watermeisi. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, your reaction to that, I think just literally just saying fond memories.
Yeah, well, those were a lot of questions. I mean, I think it could take up the whole hour.
What do you think of the current situation?
What do I think? I think it is improving in terms of, I think, the support for women in sport, thanks largely to various initiatives. One of them would have been the recent G Sport Awards and Hall of Fame induction that Kaz Naidu and her husband, Rake Meyering, have pioneered and spearheaded over the years. I think that it's great that we've had athletes over the years like recently now, like Tatiana, that shows everybody, reminds them, you know, the women are also, because for a couple of years it was just the men getting the Olympic golds. And then we've got other athletes, track and field athletes coming through, young talent. So I think women's sport in South Africa, not to mention, of course, our Banyana and our netball players and all of those, the team codes, it is improving and growing stronger. There can always be more support, and I don't want to be one of these that say just for women. I think for all of our athletes, especially if I may say for the Cinderella sports, the gymnasts, the swimmers, they pay their own way when they go to, you know, represent their country internationally. And so the more support that as a nation we can give these athletes, the better performances we'll have.
And then just your time, I think you mentioned in America, because you did spend a fair amount of time in Nebraska. You were studying psychology then.
Yes.
I don't know if you still want to pursue that direction at all.
No, they say the people who study psychology is because something's wrong. So when I heard that, I thought, no, let me move away.
What about microbiology, whatever that was going to be? Was it What is the first thing that you wanted to study?
When I was a kid, I first wanted to be a fish doctor. I didn't know the word marine biology, you know. And then later on, obviously, medicine has always been something that interested me. It just, to be very honest, when I stepped up to, you know, study in the States and sort of took my swimming to a different level, it became difficult. I know many people have managed to balance that. I'm just maybe not the most balanced person. So I guess medicine wasn't on the cards. But I think we all end up where we're meant to be, and I'm satisfied with where I am. I'm very happy. So it was the right thing, obviously.
It had to do with water, though. I mean, marine biologists, it's about water.
I like the dolphins, but that's where it ended.
You're going to, you know, coach them and teach them and choreograph them to do those fantastic things. All right, more celebrations coming in for Penny Heyns.
Hey, Robert Marawa, Sports Worldwide. So happy to hear that Penny Heyns is on your show. I went to Toti High, and she was the legend of our school. She had just finished matric just before I started standard 6, and then she came to talk. I went to a smaller little Christian school. She came to talk at my school, and I just remember feeling this inspiration, like, as South Africans, we actually can achieve good things. Congratulations, Penny Heyns, on everything you achieved through your career. You're an inspiration in our town.
Oh, thank you so much for taking us back. When she mentioned Amanzim Toti and the school, I think you almost fell off your chair.
So I'm sorry that I was leaving matric when you were coming in. But thanks for those memories. I'm also glad I made it to your, I assume it was your primary school then, the Christian school, and got to chat to the people. I think that whatever we achieve, Robert, and same for you, and you do this well, is you create a platform, or you're given a platform to hopefully make a difference. Sure. And I think that's the value in sport today as well. It's not about the fame. At least it never should be. It should be about what can I do with the God-given talents and opportunities I have to impact the lives of those around me. And so it's always very meaningful for me to hear some feedback like that. So thank you.
Yeah, Manzimtoti, because, the lady from Springs, mining town of Springs, right?
Yes.
Chasing gold, but you didn't get the gold in Springs. You got it all the way at the Olympic Games. You loved water so much, you guys had to go to Manzimtoti.
Yes,
the
place of sweet waters.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You and your history and how it happens, it is something for a Netflix movie, I can tell you that much. On the YouTube channel here, a couple of comments as well that are being posted. We got Gran Pedro who says that I was in grade 11 at a school in the US when Penny won gold. She inspired me so much that I won the Virginia State Champions in the 55-meter hurdles a few months later and made the SA team on my return.
Wow. Awesome.
Gran Pedro, you see the impact. Hey,
sure.
It crosses over. We got another one here before we take a break. Welcome says that, the name Penny Heyns became famous because of her. And I remember those days. I was still in primary school. So when the earlier voice note came through and spoke about standard 6, then I knew that this is prehistoric days.
947. Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Ni siku ya dabi Agosti 12, dimba la Amani Zanzibar. Yanga na Simba iliwekwa cross ndani kule Kangwanda. Albert! Wanasema ombe adui yako aishi miaka mingi.
Towards the Sidube, former post editor joining me live. Robert Marawa, the newly appointed younger SC coach, has been able to lift his very, very first trophy. You were there.
I get good goosebumps when I think of that game and could feel the pressure from the two coaches, Coach Steve Barker from Simba and Coach Bangoba Mngiti. There was just a lot at stake and the game lived to its billing. You can see why young Africans have been champions for the last 5 seasons from the way they played, yesterday. Peter Shalulile making his official debut.
#MSW. #MSW.
That song there in that promo when it was playing, I was visualizing what you were saying to me during the break to say that, during the presidential awards, Madiba came and sat next to you, then he kind of nudged you and said, hey, let's go dance. What was that like?
Oh, scariest moment, I think, of my life. There were like 500 people seated there, and he said, come on, Penny, let's dance. And we had to stand up, and I did the Madiba jive with him. So, yeah.
You still know how to do it?
But not anymore. That was years ago.
If I could get another chance.
Was it something like that? Like,
No.
Like
it was
a dance with the father type thing.
No, that would have been easier. No, it was Yvonne Chaka Chaka played some kind of song, I can't remember. And she was singing live, and he liked the song. So he was like, come, let's dance.
It's probably like I'm in love with the DJ or something. Because I'm trying to think of Yvonne Chaka Chaka's famous songs. She's had such hits after hits and hits after hits. But it was a proper dance, though. Was that recorded? Can we go somewhere and find it?
No, I don't know.
You're probably going to say no, it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't exist.
We'll find it.
Good evening, Rob. Good evening, MSW. This is Richard from Port Glen. Hi, Rob. We have got a legend there. Penny Heyns, after 1996, we all started following swimming and understanding it. We never followed that much in the black communities, but after 1996, everything started making sense to us. And thanks to her, she's a legend. This is Richard from Port Glen. Good show as always, Rob.
Good evening, Mr. Marawa. Good evening to the show holders, and good evening to Penny Heyns over there. What a legend. You're in the presence of a legend there, Rob. Mr. Marawa, thanks for bringing such a legend. Well, I was still a youngster myself, Mr. Marawa, but I remember her vividly, It was a dawn of a new era in South Africa, as you said earlier on. She was doing her thing in the waters, your Hezekiel Sipengwe doing their thing on the track and field, you know, your baby Jake were doing their thing in the boxing ring, man. Definitely, man. Just a quick one. What is she up to? What are you up to, Miss Penny Heyns? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Please enlighten us. What are you up to, man? What are you up to? And then looking back at your career, if we were to give you, like, take you back in time, man, is there anything you'll do differently? I mean, are you content with the achievements you've acquired, or you feel you could have achieved more, or you could have done more, you know? Thanks a lot, Mr. Marawa. Big Mikey and Kensington. Great show as always, sir.
Big Mike, thank you so much indeed. I was always going to come to say, what are you busy with now? There was a stage where you always wanted to do like public speaking and be, is that where you're at?
So I do that. I'm a speaker at corporate, conventions, that kind of thing. I hate the word motivational speaker. I don't quite like that. Sometimes the impression is rah-rah. And I hope that's not me. But aside from that, I took a bit of a 10-year break, I'd say, from having any involvement in swimming other than my athlete representation at World Aquatics. But since about 2010, I've been doing swim camps and clinics with my business partner, and we've been traveling not just in South Africa, but abroad as well. And the main reason we started doing it is not so much because of the swimming. That was the excuse to get the kids in the classroom. Because I like the teaching aspect, and it's the life lessons and the life skills, that kind of thing. I think I want to impact lives, and she wants to impact lives beyond the water, beyond the pool. And then out of that, every weekend I do stroke technique coaching, so private coaching. And then we have a foundation also, Aquatics Foundation South Africa, that we are taking hands with Life Saving South Africa on their Swim Smart, Safe Swim program. So that's to go into the schools, educate the kids on water safety.
That's needed. I think I've seen so many terrible occurrences, and it's a conversation again that one had with Chad regarding, especially KZN, where floods are almost like every other month. It's flooding in a certain area. Drownings happen so often because, you know, kids, like you rightfully said when you walked in, you said you saw my book, and the one thing that came to mind, I was like, oh my goodness, find a day when I'm chatting to Penny Heyns for her to read the chapter, finding out that I can't swim. And then she walks in, and I was like, Chad, you know what? One day I want to see an Olympic Games, a Commonwealth Games, where there's Mkhize, Mkwanazi, Mokwena, that is climbing up the podium, getting a silver, a gold, because opportunities obviously were never spread out and equal.
Yeah.
You know, back then, probably still is now, and swimming is viewed in a different way. Water is a privilege to have, not something to use recreationally, and I think sometimes it also becomes a problem. How do we close that gap?
Oh, my goodness. Like you rightfully say, it's facilities. We don't have access to enough facilities. Those that do exist are not really maintained properly. So it's not like giving people opportunity to learn how to play football. That's easy. There's a field, you can have thousands of kids and you could teach them. With swimming, it's really one-on-one. The numbers are limited. And I'll be honest, I don't think everybody wants to swim, and I can't blame them. The water's cold. It's not the most fun sport. It's fun to rather run around with your friends and do a team sport. But having said that, with the kind of stuff I do, especially the stroke correction on weekends, I have a lot, I think more of my clients are young swimmers of color, mostly black swimmers that are coming through. And we do have people out there with talent. We have Michael Hooley. He's colored, but he's got a very good chance of winning a medal at the Olympics next year. Or next year, 28. Yeah, and we'll see now at Pan Pacs, I think tomorrow or whatever, if he's going to medal there as well against the Americans. But so we've got swimmers of color coming through.
Which is encouraging, and I think let that carry on, because we need that. I know that you've said before that, you know, African swimmers will struggle with international exposure simply because traveling to Europe, America, Australia is so expensive. And you're talking about a tournament that's happening, in the next 48 hours, and we don't really feature much there.
No, our Commonwealth Games was awesome, especially Peter Kutsia. I think Peter's on a different level. He's world class. So his performances were world class. If I'm really honest, the rest of it was pretty flat. In general, the Commonwealth, the Aussies didn't send their best, the Canadians didn't send their best. And even when I swam, I felt Commonwealth is a certain level, but Pan Pacs that are happening now, you've got America there, you've got Australia, you've got basically everyone outside of Europe competing. And the Americans are definitely at their best now. So I can't understand why our top swimmers like Peter Coetzee and some of the others that medaled at the Commonwealths are not at Pan Pacs now. There might be a good reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know, unless South Africa picked a separate team. But we do have one swimmer. I mean, Kayleen Corbett was at Commonwealths, and she's also there now, and Michael Hooley. So I think it was a choice. And just my view is that I would have rather picked Commonwealths. I mean, Pan Pacs. Because in a run-up to the Olympics, you want to race the best in the world.
Who are outside of the Commonwealth
nations.
Because Commonwealth nations show it's a celebration of whatever. And there's even a debate of whether we should still even have the Commonwealth Games in 2026. I mean, I don't know where you stand with that opinion. That was mine. I was against, if you remember, under Fikile Mbalula's tenure as Minister of Sport, they wanted to have the Commonwealth Games stage down in Durban because it has every little bit of facility, the weather's great. Guys, we got bigger problems to look at than to want to host a Commonwealth Games. And so I don't know, maybe it's a debate. Maybe we bring it back here. We talk about these things fairly openly. Some of the struggles as well that the swimmers do have, because let's not lie, guys, let's not just celebrate when we see them doing well at whatever meets that they go and take part in. There are many behind-the-scenes struggles, and we are not making life easy for them.
Good evening, Rob. This is Gifting Kosien, Extension 4, Snake Park in Soweto. Oh, Rob, you've got the greatest there. You got the greatest Penny Heyns. Thank you, Penny. You've you raised our flag high there in Atlanta. And then you've paved the way for many young athletes, not forgetting the greatest childish law. And now when I was watching the Commonwealth, the under-20 championship in Aragon, I'm saying, wow, South Africa is representing us very, very, very well. Thanks to you guys who paved the way for these young athletes. Great show, Rob, as usual.
Good evening, Mr. Robert. Sort of like good evening, Mr. Shoulders. And good evening to the legend that you have there in studio, Madame Penny Heyns. What a legend you are, man. Double Olympic champion. Just a straightforward question from me. When it comes to swimming in South Africa, what is South Africa lacking? If there is anything lacking, of course, do you think it is where it should be? And if not, what would it take for SA swimming to be where it is when it comes to the Olympics, especially factoring in the type of performance that the swimmers put up in the recent Commonwealth Games, where we saw the likes of Peter Coetzee, we saw Chad Leclerc collecting the medals as well, and of course, the different medley teams, the relay teams that were there, that were present and that did very well, that contributed in South Africa coming back with as many medals as they have from this past Olympic Games. So if there's anything lacking from the swimming aspect for it to be even greater than what it is, what do you think they need to improve on? That's what I want to find out. Good show as always. Thanks.
What's the missing link?
Oh, loaded question. I think that we have talent. Obviously, South Africa, I think we've always had talent, and it's great. And now we have coaches that are doing a great job, like Rocco, and the other coaches can learn from him. And I think what happens is success breeds success. So we've had a scenario at Tuks where we had Tatiana doing so well, so others go there. They swimming with a world record holder, an Olympic champion. It just lifts everyone to a different level. Sort of in my day, we needed to go to the States for that. Yeah. And so I think we will see our success growing. Having said that, we have struggles that we face that I'm not sure how we're going to bridge that. And one of them is the facility aspect, which government needs to build pools. I mean, Robert, I work with a company that but facilitates the building of pools out of Europe. And to get a Merthyr pool, you're going to pay 51 million. To do the concrete pool, you're going to pay 47 million. So that's just no return on investment for any private investor, unless you're philanthropic or something like that, right? So we need government to build those pools, and then we need them maintained. But the other side of that is it's also a hazard. You don't want to have these great pools and it's not looked after properly, and then people drown. Yeah. And then, of course, we have the politics in sport and the federation, and I don't think I should go there at all. That says enough.
I mean, don't you want to be a minister of sport one day?
What, and then from there you go on to the IOC president? like Kirsty.
Kirsty, eh?
No, I'm
From the pool?
No, it's okay. I had 22 years on FINA, which is now World Aquatics, and 4 years on World Anti-Doping Agency, Compliance Review Committee. And, since I'm done with all of that, life is beautiful.
The politics is done. You can breathe again.
Oh, it's wonderful. I don't know why I was there for so long.
Maybe you want like a Charlize type of life, eh? Be there in Monaco.
Oh, my goodness. No, thanks.
Good evening, Rob, and good evening to the legend. Rob, you are talking to a special talent, one of the greatest swimmers that we've ever produced in this country. And I must say, Penny Heyns, Josiah Tukwani, and Dr. Kumalo inspired my love and passion for sports. And I'm grateful that today we are giving you your flowers because you have done exceptionally well and represented this country with earnest and dedication. And I need to find out from you, Penny Heyns, what was going through your mind when our national anthem was being played after you won that gold medal, and did you anticipate that the medals were going to be received so well by the country? Thank you so much. I just want to wish you all the best, and thank you once again for representing the country with earnest and dedication.
Penny, sure. People have been observing, they've been watching. I think a lot of what he has said you've kind of answered, unless there's something specific that you want to deal with. Debocho's.
I can tell you a little story which I didn't know. When I was standing on the podium and they were playing the anthem, to be very honest, I'd been in the States, so it was all very new to me. Yeah. But apparently what happened in the background, I heard this from guys from Capital Radio. At the Olympics, they had the wrong version. So they played the South African anthem over the telephone in the stadium. From South Africa. Capital Radio played the anthem over the telephone, and that's what they played in the stadium when I was standing on the podium.
Why?
For the
Because
100.
they didn't.
They had the wrong version. I don't know.
They probably had the stem.
Who knows?
And it's an anthem.
Who knows? I don't know. So I found that out. I think it was around 2011 at the mid-mile. Capital Radio guys were there, and they came and they said, "Can we?" And that was the first time in history that had ever happened.
Was it Darren Scott who told you?
No, it wasn't Darren. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was it's Capital Radio 604 guys from down in Durban. I mean, those were the legends of radio.
Yeah. So apparently that's what happened. I don't know.
I did not know that myself. All right, we are out of time, but I just wanted to brag and boast, guys, because if you don't know, you're sitting in the car and you're scratching your head. I mean, she swept the breaststroke events at the 96 Olympic Games, securing gold in both the 100 meters and 200 meters, collected the bronze in the 100 breaststroke and the 2000 Olympic Games, set a total of 14 world records during her career in the 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meter breaststroke events for both long course and short course, won the NCAA championship title in the 200 breaststroke while competing for Nebraska. But the records, became the very first woman to win both the 100 meter and 200 meter breaststroke events at the same Olympic Games, the only woman to hold as many as 14 world records in breaststroke events, and is the only female to hold all 3 breaststroke world records simultaneously. The only swimmer, male or female, to have broken a total of 4 individual world records in one competition, doing so twice in 1999. 1996, as we said, Olympic Games, gold. 100 meter, 200 meter. 2000 Olympic game, bronze. 100 meter. 94 Commonwealth Games, bronze. 100 meter breaststroke. And also named Female World Swimmer of the Year, 96 and 99 by Swimming World Magazine. All we can say is... We salute you, Penny. We salute you. There's so much more to cover. Maybe a part 2 will do, hey?
That'll be fun.
Given so many people still want to talk to you, but we're flat out of time. Penny Heyns, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for inspiring a nation.
Thank you, Robert, and thanks to your listeners.
Everybody loves Penny Heyns. We love you a great deal, and thank you for the memories as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Penny Heyns.
Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Monday to Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. #MSW.